Hello, Dynasty women. The most powerful things are done in silence. Plans, transformations, and revolutions. There's something electrifying about a woman who operates in the shadows. Not because she's hiding, but because she chooses to be unseen. She doesn't broadcast her thoughts, doesn't beg for attention, and doesn't need an audience to validate her existence. She's a Sigma female, and when no one is watching, that's when she's at her most brilliant, unpredictable, and unstoppable. Here's a fact. The human brain is wired to seek social validation, but Sigma females, they bypass that entirely. While the world scrolls, likes, and overshares, she's busy mastering herself, plotting her next move, and, let's be honest, probably silently judging a few people along the way. But what exactly happens when no eyes are on her? What does she do in those moments of pure solitude when there's no one to impress and no need to conform? The answers are far from ordinary. In fact, they might just change the way you see Sigma females forever. Let's step behind the curtain and uncover the extraordinary things Sigma females do when no one is watching. But be warned, once you see their world, you may never think the same way again. Number 1. They study themselves like a subject in a research paper. Sigma females have a habit most people wouldn't understand. They observe themselves like an outsider, as if they're studying a complex subject in a research paper. They don't just feel emotions, they analyze them. They don't just react, they dissect why they reacted that way. It's not overthinking, it's self-mastery in its rawest form. They'll catch themselves feeling irritated and mentally pause. Why did that bother me? Is it really the situation, or is it something deeper? If they sense hesitation before making a decision, they'll trace it back. Is this fear, logic, or an old insecurity resurfacing? Even happiness doesn't escape their scrutiny. They'll experience joy and immediately wonder, what specifically caused this feeling? How can I recreate it? This level of introspection isn't accidental. It's a constant refinement process. They're not interested in blindly repeating patterns or making the same mistakes twice. Every experience, every interaction, every failure becomes data. They process it, extract lessons, and adjust accordingly. That's why Sigma females rarely have emotional outbursts or impulsive reactions. By the time they express something outwardly, they've already tested it internally, questioned it, and decided it's worth showing. What makes this even more unique is that they don't do it for show. Some people reflect just to sound deep in conversations or to impress others with their self-awareness. Sigma females do it even when no one will ever know. It's not about looking wise, it's about being wise. However, this constant self-analysis can sometimes make them feel detached from their own emotions. They're so used to observing themselves that they occasionally wonder if they're actually feeling things fully or just intellectually breaking them down. But even that, too, becomes another puzzle to solve. While others drift through life repeating the same behaviors and never questioning why, Sigma females are constantly upgrading themselves in silence. Every thought, every feeling, every reaction, they study it, refine it, and use it to sharpen their edge. Number 2. They write or talk to themselves just to hear their own thoughts out loud. Sigma females have a unique relationship with their own thoughts. They don't just think, they externalize their thoughts to process them better. Whether through writing, whispering to themselves, or full-on conversations in an empty room, they do it not for validation but for clarity. Thoughts trapped in the mind can be chaotic, tangled, and messy. But the moment they put them into words, everything sharpens, patterns emerge, and the real truth reveals itself. This habit isn't about loneliness or eccentricity, it's a tool for mental precision. When faced with a tough decision, they don't just sit and stew in silence. They'll write down the options, argue both sides with themselves, and challenge their own logic until the best answer becomes obvious. When processing emotions, they don't just feel, they verbalize, "Why does this bother me? What's the real issue here?" Speaking the words aloud forces them to confront their emotions instead of letting them lurk in the background. Writing is another weapon in their arsenal. Sigma females often keep private journals, not for nostalgia, but as a record of their own mind in real time. Sometimes, They'll write something and instantly recognize that it's either flawed thinking or a breakthrough insight. Either way, the act of writing forces them to slow down and truly understand what's going on beneath the surface. People might find it odd if they overheard a Sigma female muttering to herself, but she doesn't care. It's not about appearances, it's about mental clarity and refinement. While others drown in internal noise, she's out here sharpening her thoughts like a blade, ensuring that when she speaks or acts, it's with absolute precision. Number 3. They train themselves to withstand loneliness like a mental endurance test. Sigma females don't just handle loneliness, they train for it like it's a mental endurance test. While most people fear being alone, they see it as an opportunity to test their strength, sharpen their mind, and build unshakable independence. They don't isolate themselves out of necessity, but by choice. They purposely withdraw from social settings, sometimes for days or weeks, just to prove to themselves that they don't need anyone to feel whole. No distractions, no external validation, just them, their thoughts, and their ability to find fulfillment in solitude. This isn't about hating people. In fact, Sigma females can be deeply connected to others when they choose to be. But they also know that relying too much on social interaction can create dependency, and they refuse to be dependent on anything outside themselves. So they train their minds to withstand isolation, ensuring that no matter what happens in life, breakups, betrayals, failures, they will never crumble just because they're alone. During these periods of solitude, they push their limits. They sit in silence for hours, confronting their deepest thoughts without distractions. They test their ability to stay motivated without external encouragement. They strengthen their emotional resilience, making sure that their happiness isn't tied to social approval or companionship. This is why Sigma females can walk away from relationships, jobs, and situations that no longer serve them without hesitation. They've already trained for it. They don't stay where they don't belong just because they're afraid of being alone. They've been alone before, they've mastered it, and they know they can survive. Not just survive, but thrive. Number 4. They have intense bursts of creativity that no one will ever see. Sigma females experience explosive bursts of creativity, but unlike most people, they don't create for applause or validation. They create for themselves, for the thrill of the process, the release of emotion, and the pure joy of bringing something into existence. And more often than not, they destroy or hide their work before anyone ever sees it. They'll write pages of poetry, craft a brilliant story, or compose music that could move souls, then delete it without a second thought. They'll spend hours painting or sketching, only to tuck it away in a drawer, never intending to share it. Why? Because for them, the act of creating is the reward, not the recognition. Most people create with an audience in mind, craving approval or engagement, but Sigma females don't feel that pressure. Their creativity is a private sanctuary, a place where their deepest thoughts and emotions take shape with no expectations attached. It's raw, unfiltered, and deeply personal, sometimes too personal to ever show the world. This is also why they don't force creativity. When inspiration strikes, they'll disappear into their own world for hours, lost in a creative frenzy. But when the moment passes, they walk away, letting go without attachment. They don't need to monetize their talents or turn their art into a performance. Some of their best work will remain hidden forever, locked away in notebooks, hard drives, or their own minds. It's not about secrecy, it's about freedom. The freedom to create without judgment, without pressure, and without the need for approval. And in that freedom, their creativity remains pure, untamed, and truly their own. Number 5. They run through a list of exit plans for every situation. Sigma females never enter a situation without an exit plan. It's not paranoia, it's strategy. They move through life like chess players, always thinking several steps ahead, ensuring that if things take a turn, they can walk away clean, unbothered, and without unnecessary damage. This applies to everything: relationships, jobs, friendships, even casual social interactions. While others get emotionally tangled in situations they can't escape from, Sigma females make sure they never feel trapped. If a relationship starts feeling restrictive, they've already prepared their mental and emotional withdrawal. If a job becomes toxic, they've been quietly setting up their next move. Even at social gatherings, they instinctively position themselves near exits, park in spots that allow for a quick getaway, or come up with subtle ways to leave unnoticed. Their need for an exit plan isn't about fear, it's about control. Sigma females despise the idea of being stuck, forced, or obligated to stay somewhere they no longer want to be. They don't burn bridges impulsively, but they do keep an escape hatch open at all times. If they suddenly disappear from a situation, it wasn't random. It was planned long before anyone noticed. Even in conversations, they have mental exit strategies. If they sense a discussion becoming unproductive, they subtly steer it in a direction that allows them to disengage smoothly. If someone starts draining their energy, they'll mentally check out long before physically leaving. This constant awareness makes them unpredictable to others. People never quite know when a Sigma female might decide she's done with the situation, and by the time they realize it, she's already gone, mentally, emotionally, or physically. The world sees it as mystery, but in reality, it's just self-preservation at its finest. Number 6. They test people by giving them small opportunities to prove themselves. Sigma females don't blindly trust people. They observe, analyze, and quietly test them before allowing them into their inner world. Unlike those who wear their hearts on their sleeves, Sigma females operate with a calculated level of detachment, always watching how people behave when they think no one is paying attention. They'll never announce these tests. They won't say, "I'm testing you to see if you're loyal, reliable, or worth my time." No, they'll simply drop small opportunities, subtle, effortless chances for someone to prove themselves. And most people fail without even realizing they were being evaluated. For example, they might share a minor personal detail, nothing too deep, just something small, to see if it gets repeated. If it does, trust immediately drops to zero. They might ask for a small favor to gauge someone's willingness to be helpful, or they'll notice if a person only reaches out when they need something. They'll also observe patterns. Do they keep their word? Do they listen as much as they talk? Do they disappear when things aren't convenient for them? The beauty of these tests is that they don't require confrontation. Sigma females don't waste energy on emotional outbursts or dramatic fallouts. If someone fails, they simply adjust their expectations, limit their access, or quietly remove them from their life. No explanations, no second chances. People often wonder why Sigma females have such strong intuition about others. This is why. It's not magic. It's silent observation, pattern recognition, and strategic testing. By the time they fully trust someone, that person has unknowingly passed multiple tests. Most will never even realize they were being tested, and that's exactly how Sigma females like it. They don't hope for loyalty, they confirm it. Number 7. They don't fear being alone. They fear the wrong company. Sigma females don't fear being alone. In fact, they thrive in solitude. What they truly fear is being surrounded by the wrong people, those who drain their energy, suffocate their independence, or fail to understand them on a deeper level. To them, loneliness isn't the enemy, compromising their peace is. Most people cling to relationships, friendships, or social circles out of fear of isolation, fear of judgment, fear of being left behind. Sigma females, they don't operate that way. If a connection doesn't add value, stimulate their mind, or align with their energy, they have zero hesitation in walking away. They don't keep people around just for the sake of having company. They would rather sit alone in silence than force themselves to tolerate conversations that feel empty, friendships that feel forced, or relationships that feel like cages. This is why they are so selective with their inner circle. They don't collect acquaintances. They curate connections. If someone makes it into their life, it's because they've passed the unspoken tests, proven their authenticity, and shown that they can match the Sigma female's level of depth. Otherwise, they're kept at a distance or quietly cut off without a second thought. Some mistake this for arrogance, but it's really about self-preservation. Sigma females refuse to shrink themselves just to fit into spaces where they don't belong. They won't fake enthusiasm, force small talk, or tolerate surface-level connections just to avoid being alone. They understand that the wrong company is far lonelier than actual solitude. This mindset makes them both intimidating and admirable. Some envy their ability to walk away without hesitation. Others can't understand how they can go for days, weeks, even years without needing constant social validation. But Sigma females know something most don't. Peace is priceless, and the cost of keeping the wrong people around is far too high. Number 8, they debate themselves like a philosopher in a mental arena. Sigma females don't just think. They interrogate their thoughts, challenging every belief, assumption, and reaction like a relentless prosecutor in a courtroom. Their minds are not quiet places. They are mental arenas where no thought is accepted without debate, no decision is made without scrutiny, and no emotion is left unexamined. When faced with a decision, they don't simply ask, "What should I do?" Instead, they argue all sides, questioning every possibility like a philosopher dissecting the meaning of life. Is this logical, or am I being emotional? Is this a risk worth taking, or am I playing it too safe? If I choose this path, will I regret it later? These internal debates can go on for hours, sometimes days, until they reach an answer that feels bulletproof. It's not just about decisions, though. Sigma females challenge their own thoughts even when no one else does. If they feel angry, they'll interrogate themselves. Is this person actually at fault, or am I projecting? If they feel insecure, they'll dig deeper. Is this real, or is my mind tricking me? They refuse to let unchecked emotions or surface-level thinking control them. This constant self-argument makes them incredibly mentally sharp and self-aware, but it can also be exhausting. Sometimes they overanalyze to the point where they struggle to take action because every choice has been so thoroughly dissected that no answer feels perfect. They're their own greatest advisor, but also their harshest critic. What's fascinating is that they rarely share these internal battles with others. From the outside, they may appear calm, confident, and in control, but inside, they've already fought a dozen mental battles before making a single move. By the time they speak, they've already won the argument in their head. This is why Sigma females rarely make impulsive mistakes. They've already debated every possible outcome long before anyone else even knew there was a decision to make. Number 9, they study social patterns like a scientist in a lab. While others assume that Sigma females are just quiet observers, what they don't realize is that these women are actually deep in the lab of human behavior, carefully studying social patterns like a scientist with a notebook full of hypotheses. They watch, they listen, and they analyze, constantly testing theories on how people think, feel, and act, all while blending into the background. They notice the smallest details that most people miss, the way someone's tone shifts when they're lying, the micro-expressions that reveal hidden emotions, or the subtle power dynamics at play in any group. It's like they're running psychological experiments in real time, predicting how individuals will react to certain situations, and then observing whether their predictions are correct. Sigma females have a remarkable ability to read people with startling accuracy. They can tell who's bluffing, who's insecure, and who's genuinely authentic without anyone needing to say a word. It's not magic. It's the result of endless observation, pattern recognition, and years of quietly gathering data. They might not engage in every conversation or join every social interaction, but when they do, they've already mapped out the likely outcomes based on their observations. This doesn't mean they're cynical or judgmental, far from it. It's just that Sigma females understand people in a way most don't. They know that human behavior is complex, layered with contradictions and biases, and they've spent countless hours understanding the nuances of how and why people act the way they do. They're not looking for drama or conflict, but rather the truth, the raw, unfiltered version of who someone truly is beneath the surface. And when they choose to connect with someone, it's not because they've been swept away by a charismatic personality. It's because they've already tested that person's reliability, consistency, and authenticity, often without the other person even realizing it. In a world full of people who present facades, Sigma females can spot the real from the fake with an accuracy that... Number 10. They rehearse multiple versions of a future conversation. Before Sigma females engage in any important conversation, they don't just wing it like most people. They rehearse the interaction in their mind multiple times, playing out several versions of it as though they're strategizing for a high-stakes game. It's like mental chess. They consider different tones, potential responses, and possible outcomes, adjusting their approach each time to ensure they're prepared for whatever might come. Let's say they need to have a tough conversation with a friend, a colleague, or even a romantic partner. Instead of simply approaching it and hoping for the best, they run through the scenario in every possible way. What if the person reacts defensively? How will they handle that? What if they stay calm but disagree? What if they respond with complete understanding? They'll consider every tone, every word, every pause in the conversation, adjusting their responses based on how the other person might react. In doing so, Sigma females mentally prepare for every angle, making sure they're never caught off guard. They anticipate emotional responses, logical counterpoints, and potential curveballs. It's not about manipulating the situation, it's about maintaining control and being ready for whatever unfolds. The goal is to avoid emotional outbursts, awkward silences, or unexpected reactions that could throw them off balance. This mental rehearsal allows them to enter conversations with clarity and calmness, because they've already decided how they'll respond to every possibility. It's like having a well-thought-out game plan before stepping onto the field. By the time the conversation actually happens, they've already mentally navigated through various potential pitfalls, leaving them prepared and in control of the situation. For the people around them, it might seem like these conversations are just effortless. But what they don't see is the careful mental preparation that's gone into them. Sigma females don't just react. They are always a few steps ahead, thinking, adjusting, and refining their approach before they ever say a word. Number 11. They completely detach from reality for hours. Sigma females have a rare ability to completely detach from reality, slipping into their own world for hours at a time as if everything outside them fades away. It's not an escape from the world, it's a profound, intentional immersion into something far more significant to them, their own thoughts, passions, or creative processes. When they get lost in a book, a piece of music, or an intense mental puzzle, they become so absorbed that everything around them seems irrelevant. The ticking clock, the phone buzzing, even the hunger in their stomach becomes secondary. They're no longer bound by time. Their thoughts travel to another level entirely, unreachable, undisturbed, and fully absorbed in whatever idea or concept has captured their focus. It could be an intricate plot twist in a novel that challenges their perception, a melody that takes them to another emotional realm, or even a deep internal dialogue about life, purpose, or future plans. It's in these moments of complete mental detachment that they find clarity, innovation, and insight. The world doesn't demand anything from them, so they give it nothing. Instead, they lose themselves in the luxury of their own mind, where only their thoughts and the thing that holds their attention matter. Sometimes this detachment can go on for hours. They might forget to eat, drink, or even take care of basic needs because their mind is fully occupied elsewhere. It's a state of pure immersion, and it can feel almost like a form of meditation. They're not distracted by the noise of life. They're recalibrating, refining, and discovering something new inside themselves. People might find it strange or even alarming when a Sigma female vanishes into herself for extended periods, but it's not loneliness. It's intentional isolation that feeds their inner world. This detachment isn't a sign of weakness or avoidance. It's a way for them to recharge, reflect, and return stronger. Their mind operates on a deeper level, and these moments of intense focus are the fuel that powers their brilliance. In the end, Sigma females embody a unique blend of independence, intellect, and emotional resilience. Their lives are not dictated by the expectations of others, nor do they follow the conventional paths that most people tread. Instead, they choose their own course, carving out a space where their thoughts, actions, and interactions are governed by the deep understanding of themselves and the world around them. Whether it's through testing their own mental limits, analyzing the true nature of others, or retreating into solitude to recharge their inner strength, they live on a level that most will never fully comprehend. But here's the truth. It's not about isolation or perfection. It's about unwavering self-mastery. They don't fear being alone because they've learned that loneliness is a catalyst for growth, not a punishment. They don't live for validation from others, but for the satisfaction of their own thoughts, their own journey, and their own evolution. For Sigma females, the world isn't something to be conquered or observed passively. It's something to be understood, navigated, and shaped on their own terms. In a world that often values noise over quiet reflection, they're the calm in the storm, the ones who don't rush through life, but move through it with intention, precision, and quiet strength. The beauty of their existence lies not in the attention they demand, but in the profound way they move through life, mastering their minds, maintaining their peace, and leaving a lasting impression on those who are lucky enough to glimpse their inner world. So the next time you encounter a Sigma female, don't mistake her quiet for passivity or her solitude for loneliness. She's living on a level most never reach, and the depth she carries within herself is something that can't be touched by superficiality or fleeting trends. She's a force, not defined by anyone else's expectations, but by the vast, untapped potential of her own mind. If you've made it this far, you're clearly someone who values depth, insight, and the rare qualities that make the Sigma female such a fascinating force. If you enjoyed exploring this journey with us and want to dive deeper into more exceptional content like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Like this video if you found it thought-provoking, and leave a comment below sharing your thoughts. Do you recognize these traits in yourself or someone you know? Let's spark some great conversations. And of course, if you think this could resonate with someone else, share it with your friends or anyone who would appreciate the unique perspective we've explored today. We'd love to hear from you and keep this community growing. Thanks for being part of this amazing journey. Stay tuned for more, because there's always more to uncover.